If you want to have more depth to your drawings, then today you're at the right place, because we'll have a look at a couple of ways how you can add three-dimensionality and depth to otherwise potentially flat drawings. And we'll look into a couple of ways how we can make this image that could otherwise be potentially quite flat and unappealing, and how we can add more depth and interest to it using things like aerial perspective, shading, and also varying the line thickness and opacity as well. So let's dive right into it. So here I have a collage of three different images that I've created actually in Photoshop. So the first thing to do is to trace over the first pass. I'll create my 2-point perspective. I'll set the vanishing point where heads of people on the foreground are. I'll start with creating a new layer, and I'll pick my soft medium brush for the first pass. By the way, you can download all these brushes in the description below. So I'll enable drawing assist, and I have a shortcut for that, which is this button over here. And I'll just simply proceed and start sketching the building in the front over here, and this one on the side. And then I'll use my small pencil tool to then do the background images here. And over here, I don't want that line to follow my 2-point perspective, so instead I want to tap and unconstrain it from the perspective grid. And you can see that that volume at the back, it doesn't quite follow the same 2-point perspective as it does in the front. And so now what I want to do is I want to create a kind of a corridor. You know, if we're standing here looking towards this composition, then this building over here is actually this building here, and this one on the side is this building here. Continue with the straight lines following the ones I already created previously, these ones, just to finish off these overhangs. And I'll use the kind of free line approach, and similarly on that other side it's easier because I have the existing image to guide me. So now I would like to add some people, and for that I'll increase the opacity of the background layer, and then I'll create a new layer on top, go back to my soft medium brush and just start tracing these people. I'll disable the line assist for that. And these people on the background, I'll actually use my thinner pencil to trace them over because they're quite far away, and it will be hard to see any sort of meaningful detail if I do the thicker pencil. And I might as well add some of these trees. And now I'll go back to a freehand mode. I'll use the features that I have on these images in front of me just to kind of guide my perspective instead, and I'll just to save time and be more, I guess, more natural with the lines. I'll follow them freehand, and these might be some kind of subtle landscape features, maybe stones or something that are set in the landscape, in the grass. And the further these lines go, the less the thickness of the pen should be. And I might have an eraser, and I'll reduce the opacity of that eraser, and I'll just go over these lines just a little bit, just to get their opacity down. And I might do exactly the same thing with this facade, the outline of that facade here, because I think it's a bit too strong. Okay, so next up, I want to add some detail. So I'll create yet another layer, and I keep creating these layers just so that I have a bit more control of aerial perspective. So again, more detail to the closest window, so also the texture. Put occasional, so it's quite dense over here in the beginning, and then it kind of goes towards the end and becomes a bit more faint. I'll use the same approach with these ones, the overhangs. And as I did before, I'll use the brush to kind of just erase it a little bit, just so the kind of aerial perspective goes along stronger. Okay, pretty happy with that, and I'll just continue in the same fashion with these lower divisions as well. So starting with soft medium pencil first. Change to small pencil. So here you can see I'm actually using a variety of the pencils. I'll use the thick pencil for these mullions, the edges of mullions, and then thinner pencils for the actual detailing around the doors. I only really do the frames at the beginning, and then as I go further along the facade, I'll use only the occasional line. If I start erasing some of that detail away, what it actually allows me to do then is to reinstate some of these main, using the drawing assist, reinstate some of these main features of the building, i.e. these overhangs, to give the whole thing a bit more edge. I think that side is more or less sorted. Now let's do this elevation. So I'm actually going to start with soft medium, and then once that's done, going back to the regular pencil. And all I probably want to do now is to add a little bit of shading, and I'll do that using a marker tool. And at this point, once the kind of main shading is done, I can just do the same trick as before, where I can reduce some of that impact of some of that shadow at the background. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about these techniques and whether you're planning to use any of them. Also, let me know if you have any future video recommendations. I'm always looking for some new and fresh ideas. I will link up a couple more videos over here and over here on other drawing tutorials on my channel, so check them out if you're into digital drawing. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next time, bye bye.